All right, so I thought I would put some frames on this. I'm gonna outline the almond and put a frame on the icon itself. We're getting to a point now, we've got paint on the board where we don't necessarily want to put our arm in it, so I'm going to pull my maul stick out. I'm adding, what is this, burnt sienna to my bowl here, or to my palette. And this is a nice color to work with. So you're going to add some egg to that. Again, about 1 to 1. This background is Little Lake in many different colors. You can Little Lake in one color. A lot of icons have gold as their background. If you want to do the entire background in gold, you can. It's expensive, but you can. A lot of times backgrounds and icons are a yellow or mica. Mica is a mineral that reflects light like gold does, and it's a lot less expensive. And so sometimes I've used mica. This is still a little thick. So I'm gonna add a little more egg in here. And again, I can feel it's thick because I've used this color a lot. I understand burnt sienna. And so again, you just really have to, the way to learn your colors is just to mess with them. And so if this is your first icon, be kind to yourself and try it on paper. Get a feeling for the pigment and what it's going to do. Okay, so I've chosen an 8 round, and I'm not sure if this is the brush I want or not. I'm just gonna, it's not making the point I want, so scratch that. I'm gonna go to back to my 4 round. I don't know that I want as big of a, I thought what I would do is clean up the edges of the almond and make it look sharp. Paint won't want to stick to gold. And so I'm just kind of finding that fine line between the gold and the paint and trying to clean it up a bit. I think once we can see what the clean edge looks like, it'll be a lot more like rewarding at this point, because a lot of times people want it to be perfect at the, you know, right away and the whole time, and they don't want to see anything that looks like it's not perfect because it's a prayerful item. But the reality is sometimes it takes a bit, and it's all about your mindset as you're working. Like, I'm praying for the person I'm writing it for. In this case, it's a teacher at the high school I work at, and we all definitely need prayers, working with the young of today. And so I'm just going to turn the board rather than reach over it and keep myself comfortable. I can probably zoom in a bit so you can see where I'm at and what I'm doing. I think just little touches like this make a difference. And I like detail work, and this gives me joy. Now, if I see that getting a little bit too light, I can actually just put a drop of paint in there and it will follow the line. And it's kind of nice that way. If you shake a lot, you can put a finger on the board to steady yourself. Or use your other hand, like to steady yourself. I have a second hand here. And so I'm a finger on the board kind of person. I like to put my pinky out and on the board. Make this a little closer to myself. Let me zoom out a bit. There. Again, I'm not a great videographer. And this particular icon has a lot of color on the gold itself. I'm just going to darken that. Oop. And there's places where it's not sticking to the gold as much as I would like, but I'm not worried about it just yet. It has too much paint on it. That would have been bad. Okay, and I've made it to an angel wing. So already this is looking a lot more exciting. Cleaning up the edge. You can look at one side versus the other. And this, like I said, this almond has a bunch of design on it. You can see all the painting I'm going to be doing on the gold. I'll address that later. I don't want to do that just yet. But I am just going to make this barrier between the paint and the gold and just clean it up for a bit as something fun to do. Sometimes I'll play religious music or meditative things to listen to. A book on an audio book sometimes that is faith-filled. And other times I like to just sit in the quiet. Just depends on how you pray. Oops, there's a kitty here. I don't want that to become part of my icon. The person I'm making this for has a couple cats, so she won't mind if a kitty hair makes it in the end. Cats are God's creatures too. So I have no problem with that becoming part of my icon. If it has to happen, it has to happen. All right. Alright, we've just about made it around. While I'm letting that dry, I thought I would show you, I thought I might go ahead and paint the outside of my frame this color. I am going to put bowl on the outside, but if you notice this brown I'm using, this burnt sienna, is pretty much the same color as the bowl. And so I like to paint a layer of paint along the outside that's the same color as the bowl in case, God forbid, the icon would get dropped or something would happen to cause it to chip or whatever. So I like to put a layer of brown around the outside, and this particular board has a lip, which is really nice. I can just tuck my brush right into the lip. Plus it's going to give you an idea of how this will look framed. And so it's okay to, oh no, I just painted like this spot here. As long as you gently wipe it off before it sticks, it'll be okay. No one will notice it. Little things like this that bring us joy, because you get to kind of see where the icon's heading. That doesn't cause a lot of, it's not a lot of stress to do, and it takes several layers to get to the finished product on the sides. So every now and then I'll throw one of these on. And like I said, at the very end, I'm gonna throw some clay on it. So, but this, I like to put this underneath again because I've had people drop an icon or it falls off a shelf or whatever, and that's a lot for an icon to take. And so if it happens to chip, at least this will be the color that shows up underneath if the clay comes off. Oh, see that? Uh-oh. One quick little wipe. I'm not wiping off so hard that it's taking the paint underneath, and I'll show you what to do with it here in a second. I know how to fix everything. So sometimes I go so fast that I make mistakes like that, whereas if I would have taken my time, that would have never happened. Okay, so take a peek at that and kind of see how we've got our, try to light it up for you, our red edge and our red outline. What you can do, since I can still see some of that red here, what you can do to fix that, take a new brush that's dry, and I usually dip it into my distilled water, and then I pinch the end so that it's just damp, and it should take the topmost color off, but because I just did this not that long ago, it might make it worse. We'll find out. Okay, so I'm just lifting the most superficial color off, and that'll be okay. May have to go back with some yellow a little bit later, put that back in, but I'm not too worried about it. Not the end of the world. Maybe one more. Okay, so that took care of that. We had another little one of those down here. I can get those taken off. All right, no worries. It's okay to have spots that don't go as you expect. If it's bothering you and you want to take care of it right away, which some people might, you can take a little bit of light yellow ochre, make a little bit of paint there. There's some water in there. I don't know from where, but I'm just gonna use it. And add a drop of 2 of egg. Alright. I want this to be like glazy. Right. So I like put a bunch of it on my hand. Just enough to make it yellow again. Alright, problem solved. Alright, fixed. And it's okay if it's a little darker because there are spots that are a little darker. So, crisis averted. Alright, next thing I think I would like to work on while my frame is dry, I'm going to turn my icon this way, is I think I'm going to do this little half moon that she's standing on. So I think we do that next, and I think we use dark natural brown. There's no right or wrong as to what's next or what you work on next. Just garments and some things when you get to the actual image, we like to do dark to light. So I'll show you garments here in a bit. Right now I'm just going to do moon while my frame's drying. And so you have to wait for each layer to dry before you can move on to the next. And so I do kind of make little boundaries and move from spot to spot and a little bit at a time so that I'm not overworking any one place. Alright, so my dark neutral brown is ready to go. This is one of my absolute favorite colors, and they're almost always out of it, so buy that one before you need it. Okay, so I got my little moon. Let me get my maul stick. This is my maul stick again. It's just, I don't know how thick that is. Probably a ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch dowel rod with a chair rubber thing on the bottom, a folding chair thing. I don't know what you call that, plastic nubby thing, or rubber nubby thing. Again, I use my maul stick as a place to put my hands so that I don't get it into the painting. I want something with a point on it. I have more control over than what I've been using. So maybe this guy. This is a 0. And I think I like the looks of this. So I'm just going to come in and put my dark brown in. And I'm looking for that trench that I made with my etching tool. And I am kind of doing the puddle and drag technique here. It does become a little bit paint by numbers once you got it in. You just get to pick the colors, that's all. And I take my time, keep my edges neat. I may need to turn this because I know how I paint. And I want to be able to see certain sides. Here's that. I often find myself holding my breath. I stuck my finger in the wet paint on the top that I fixed. Oh, it's messed up again up there. Awareness of your hands is important. Let me fix it again. Boop, 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 boop. No harm. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, 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 boop. That works. Isn't that funny? Okay. Back to my moon. It's really challenging to have this stand here and keep you all in mind as I work because I'm not used to that. Alright, there is a little shoe here. Okay, so I'm just following my picture. Following the outline of the shoe and working with my paint, hitting those trenches that we etched. The trenches are nice. It will collect your paint and work as a natural barrier as you put your stuff in. So it keeps your paint where it needs to be if you take your time. And this may need a couple layers depending on how it dries. I like doing things that, you know, allows you to kind of see the finished product. Okay. If you find yourself putting paint where you don't want it, it can totally be fixed. This isn't coming to too much of a point, but that's okay. I have my last little bit here. Sometimes when I feel like I made that same mistake on that same spot more than once, it might be Mary trying to tell me, hey, it needs to be more like this. And so, it's okay. I'm hearing you, Mary. I often see like icon painting like our own spiritual journey. There are parts that are easy and parts that are challenging and parts where God's trying to talk to us and we just need to listen, and parts where we get in our own heads and we doubt. And painting icons brings a lot of those different emotions up at different points depending on how your icon's going or the perception of how your icon is going. But I believe that if you're using a prayerful process to make it, your icon will be beautiful no matter what. Okay, I'm getting to the point here, and this brush isn't allowing me to get into the point so well, so I'm going to grab one of my detail brushes just to get this point nice and crisp. Okay. Okay, so there you go. You can kind of start seeing the future of this icon. It's got its red edge. It's got her little moon. It's got some edges starting to create a boundary between the outside and the inside. And there you go. Not bad. I could probably put another coat on my outside before that dries, or that paint goes bad. Doesn't hurt to put another coat on, so I might do that real quick. Since I have it, I'm setting it on the towel. I have a cat that just has to sit up here where I do my icons. I don't know why, but she's like, you're not paying attention to me. So she ends up in all my icons. Might add a little more egg and water to this. It's getting thin and there's not much left, and I want to make it around. My kitty's name is Chloe, in case you're wondering. I have many pictures of her sitting in my art stuff. You can also paint the clay or add pigment to the clay to get this exact color if you like it, or any other color if you want your frame to be a color that's not the color of clay. There we go again. Alright, this is my last side, which is good because I'm just about out of paint. So that was good to just put one more coat on. So it's kind of a deeper red now. Nice, okay. So as far as I'm concerned, the background's done. I think what I'll start next is the garments. And I think I would like garments to be its own video, or maybe 10, I don't know. It's gonna be a lot of videos, but I kind of want to record this whole thing from beginning to end so you can kind of see my thought processes as I'm working. So yeah, all right then, I'll see you next time.